welcome to another episode here on my channel. My name is Chaosmole, and today we have, well, just 20 minutes ago, the breaking news that Google is shutting down Stadia for good. They have just announced this. The service will shut down on January 18th, 2023. Google will be refunding all Stadia hardware purchased through the Google Store, as well as the games and add-on content purchased from the Stadia store. Google expects those refunds will be completed in mid-January. And the official blog post is saying that a few years ago, we also launched a consumer gaming service, Stadia. And while Stadia's approach to streaming games for consumers was built on a strong technological foundation, it hasn't gained the traction with users that we expected. So we made the difficult decision to begin winding down the Stadia streaming service. This is by Phil Harrison. Phil Harrison. That man, I think he is now 3-on-3 with failed products, if I'm not mistaken. Here's the very wide announcement. Okay. We are grateful to the dedicated Stadia players that have been with us from the start. We will be refunding all Stadia hardware purchases made through the Google Store. That's very important. And all game and add-on content purchases made through Stadia Store, which, let's be honest here, that's the only way how you could buy them. Players will continue to have access to their games library and play through January 18, and then you get your money back, and that's it. And man, I have to say I'm not really surprised by this, because Phil Harrison was leading this. No. Phil Harrison, like, I have to say though, Phil Harrison is definitely one of those people who just did fall up the ladder. If you're like, Phil Harrison? Who is this? Xbox One. This man, I think he was at EA before that or something. Like, he has a history of not so great products. Yeah. But regardless of that, I really have to say, Stadia in itself was a great idea. It was such a bad product. It was such a bad product. And I know that some people will now say, well, it's like streaming doesn't work. Look at Xbox Game Pass. Look at xCloud. It works. Believe me, you just have to do it right. And Stadia has not done it right since the beginning. First, oh god, there was so much wrong. First, they did try to get into this market segment, and they were like, it's for everyone. Till they then announced, well, technically no. You have to buy our Stadia hardware, right? You need our Stadia controller, you need our Stadia Fire TV stick or whatever they're calling it, right? You needed hardware in the first wave, which is already insane when you think about it. Like, the one thing you wanted basically to combat, which is that people have to buy hardware to play video games, the first thing you did is making people buy hardware to play video games. Like, you already failed at that. The next thing they clearly failed is that you couldn't even play this on your browser. Like, at the beginning, you couldn't play on your browser. You couldn't use like any controller you wanted to. But as I said, this is going completely against what you want to achieve here. Then another thing they just screwed up is the price structure. Like, they first announced, hey, there will be a subscription. This will cost you $13 per month. And people were like, all right, paying you $13 per month to get games and play games online. Okay, that's doable. And Stadia was like, wait, what? No, that's not what we meant. We meant you were paying us $13 to maybe get a game per month if we really want to do this. and to basically get all the features which are already in the game, like Dolby Digital, HDR, 4K. And it's like, wait. I pay you to get more options in the options menu? Okay, how much does the game cost then? Well, yeah, 60. But where is this a good deal for me? Yeah, well, you don't need a powerful machine to do this. Okay, but I can just go to PlayStation Now. Well, now it's PlayStation something something. Or Xbox Game Pass with xCloud. Like, why would I go to you when you make things more complicated and your price structure is just much more shittier? Why would I need that? Why would I do this as a consumer? Yeah, we will have exclusives. Oh, okay, yeah, okay. Well, you have never really done game development. You sure you know what you were doing? Oh, yeah, of course. Then a year later, hey, we are completely canceling all our games and we are only a publisher at this point. It's like, see, that is the first big sign that you are giving up. And the amounts of games which were available on Stadia, I think you were like Stadia was celebrating at one point that they have now reached 70 games being available on that platform. It's like 70 games? Shit, Game Pass has more. And again, I can still just buy those games. Like, you're getting an Xbox Series S for what, $300? A Nintendo Switch for $300 or even less? Why? Like, the biggest question is, which market did you try to reach with Stadia? Which mass market? Like, now you would say, like, this is one of the reasons why Xbox is doing it, right? Like, Xbox has been the most open company when it comes to their strategy, why they're doing stuff. And they've been very open to why xCloud exists. xCloud here in the West is just a neat thing to have, but nobody cares too much. But it is amazing in Asia, in the Middle East, Africa, like all those regions where not everybody has like a high-end PC or has a console staying around or lying around, but they do have phones. They do have tablets. They have at least a TV where you can just put like a stick in then and then, it just works. And especially on those markets, nobody has heard about Stadia. Nobody cared for Stadia. Whereas PlayStation and especially Xbox has been celebrating success after success after success. People were like, Stadia? Never heard of that. What is that? And so the next question is like, what was your targeted audience here? Like, sure, you had your Google fanatics, which, by the way, screamed at me for the first few weeks after the release how amazing this is. I cannot comprehend it. I don't understand. And Google just changed the world. It's like, no, they didn't. Like, don't get me wrong. I think that gaming streaming is the future. I don't necessarily believe it will remove physical hardware and it will remove like physical games and all that. Maybe at some point, maybe in 20, 30 years, it will be. Who knows? But it is a great alternative, and there are already like big players out there showing how to do it right. And Stadia has just not done it. And this is the typical Google move. They could have totally turned this around. Like, people say, oh yeah, Stadia is doomed. Like, we all knew this. Like, of course, like, they had to fail. I was like, no, they didn't. They could have turned this around when they would have looked at their price structure, what they offer, what is their target audience. Like, it seems like what killed Stadia in the end was a lot of management mistakes, again. Because again, Stadia in itself, the technology they had and all that, that was pretty cool. Even though Stadia had like not the greatest hardware. And one of the biggest issues was also that developers had to put in quite a bit of work to basically port the game over to Stadia. Whereas, again, for PlayStation and Xbox, you don't have to do any of that. It's just like, okay, we have our PlayStation/Xbox servers just standing around and streaming the game to you. No port has to be done. Or like minimal effort. Whereas by Stadia was basically its own thing, and it had to be ported to that, which was apparently a pain in the ass. Like, they had a good idea, but the management made a lot of mistakes. It was like the typical, this is why you don't trust Google with this. And it kind of sucks. Like, when Stadia was announced, before they did go into the details, and I kind of knew what we would get, I felt like Stadia could be a new player in the gaming industry, and maybe even in the console industry, right? Like having first-party games, aka exclusives, having your own little, well, not console, but your own little thing, your own thing going on. And they just botched it. They botched it so hard. At least they have the decency to say, okay, we will give you back all the money, all of it. And I hope that works out. But that they never moved away from their pricing structure. And it was never clear where their target audience was. You know what? Now that I'm thinking more about this, because this is basically hot off the press, but the more I'm thinking about this, Google Stadia really reminds me of the Wii U. It really reminds me of the Wii U. I had the same feeling then. Like, I was there at E3 when the Wii U was announced as a journalist, right? And the Wii U was announced, and all the hundreds of journalists sitting in that room were looking at each other and going, did you understand this? Like, is this a new hardware? Is like, who's the target audience for this? Like, what's the exact plans for this? Like, what? I don't get this. And it's the same feeling I had with Google Stadia. The feeling of, does anybody gets this? Does anybody understand what Stadia is aiming at, besides of being a gaming streaming platform? Like, why would I go there? What would be the benefits for me? What would be the goals for this company? And so on and so forth. Like, they failed on so many areas to just make it clear for people what they are getting into and what they are getting out of this. You are a new product. You are a new player in the gigantic gaming industry. and you have to come with presents. Google in the gaming industry means two things: YouTube and a search engine. Well, and a phone. And a phone if you have one. But in the gaming industry itself, you are nobody. Like, you have to show that you mean it, and you have to come with presence, so to speak. And from the inception of Google Stadia, they try to make money off this immediately. And yeah, I don't think that worked out. But before I'm falling too much into ranting here, yeah, not too surprising in the end. At least everyone is getting back their money, so that's good. Because let's be real here, I would have expected that Google just says, oh well, not my problem. But let's wrap this up here. Live streaming gaming, well, live gaming has established itself, but Google Stadia is not a part of it. With that said, thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, I would appreciate if you leave a like. If you're new to the channel and you want to get more gaming news, and also maybe come by and say hi to one of the live streams, which are happening here from Monday to Friday, starting at 8 AM ET. We're just doing our Grounded playthrough, and I'm also doing guide videos, reaction videos here on the channel. If you want to stop by to say hi, you might want to subscribe to the channel. I would definitely appreciate it. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I see you next time.